Chairman's difference. Had several requests to go ahead of you, but I told them in this committee, chairman always gets difference. It's 10 o'clock, so I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the Standing Committee on Occupations and Licensing. This is meeting number 6 on Tuesday, March 12th, 2024, 10 a.m., room 131. I have a very special guest with me this morning. Slater Kramer is up here with me this morning. Raise your hand, Slater. I have known Slater. He's assisting me with the committee this morning. I know Slater's mom and dad. I know Slater's grandfather, Larry Brown, which many of you know. Raise your hand, Larry. And I know his great-grandparents, who were instrumental in getting me on the Florence Police for my very first job. So it's great to have them here as I round third and head for home. Welcome. Madam, do we have any other people want to introduce special guests? Madam Secretary, call the roll.
Senator Adams. Senator Douglas.
Present.
Senator Harper Angel. Senator Higdon. Senator Howe. Senator Mays Bledsoe. Here. Senator McDaniel. Senator Nemus.
Present.
Senator Thayer. Here. Senator Thomas. Chairman Schickel.
Present. We let the record reflect we do have a quorum and are duly constituted to do business. The first item we will take up today is House Bill 439, an act relating to alcoholic beverages and declaring emergency. It's always good to have Chairman Cook, my counterpart in the House, here with us today. There is a committee sub on this. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the committee sub. There's a motion. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor of adopting the committee sub, use the voting sign of aye. Anyone opposed, like sign. Let the record reflect the committee sub for House Bill 439 has been duly adopted. Chairman, if you would, introduce yourself for the record, and you can have your guest introduce herself and proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Always good to be down here in the Senate, L&O. I am Representative Matt Cook, representing the 72nd District. With me today.
Hi, yes, my name is Shannon Stiglitz. I am the Senior Vice President of Government Affairs for the Kentucky Retail Federation.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. We have the committee sub in front of us, so this bill encompasses 3 pieces, and I'll go through them one by one. The first is something this Senate committee should be very familiar with. It is changing the number on the riverboats from 100 down to 40. This is a tourism issue. We actually have the nation's only based bourbon tour. So that's the first part of the bill. The second part of this bill creates a vintage spirits license. So when we originally, and those who have been here a couple of years will remember when we created this 4 years ago, or a couple of years ago, we inadvertently created a unregulated 4th tier. We all know the 3-tier system very well. And this was allowing non-licensed persons to essentially make a living off reselling spirits with little to no tracking. And it's something we needed to come back and clean up. So we've created a $300 license. ABC that way will be able to identify groups who are dealing with these so-called vintage spirits. Although a better term might possibly be able to use limited release bottles. But we're not trying to limit what bottle is being sold, but rather we are trying to control the quantity as long as the bottle is not available from a licensed wholesaler in the Commonwealth. The licensee is going to file a monthly report with the department with the required information in this bill. The biggest restriction will be sell no more than 24 packages in a 12-month period, and that number 24 is from the original language a couple years ago. If they do, we put in civil fines. That's something in the House side that the House members wanted. I actually had criminal penalties in this, and we have said it's a civil penalty, and we'll stick with civil penalties for that. So first penalty is $500. Your second penalty is $2,500. Your third penalty in subsequent penalties are $5,000. If the department seizes alcoholic beverages, they must provide the licensee with a notice of violation in 14 days. We feel like that's very fair. We were just looking at talking to industry stakeholders, and if you've had alcohol seized, if you've had products seized, I think everyone can agree that you deserve to know why that product was seized, and we felt 14 days was a reasonable time to do that. Failing to do so would return that property to the owner. Only after a final order and after all appeals may that alcohol be destroyed, or, and this is a new part here, if that alcohol meets all the requirements listed out in the bill, such as new original bottle, original seal on it, it can be sold at auction to support the alcohol wellness and responsibility education, also known as AWARE. And that was already in the current language, but we changed the name to AWARE to allow more going in it. And that money will go to continue to go to Project Grad, Project Prom, and support those pieces. At this time, I'd like to yield. We got another guest, Representative Kiggins, with us to talk about the quota portion of this bill. And sir, if you'll introduce yourself for the record, you may begin.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Committee. State Representative Killian Timoney, 45th District in Lexington. This portion of the bill is relatively simple. It just is two parts. First and foremost, currently under statute, third-party delivery drivers are required to have a license being shown outside of the vehicle. What that's led to is it's kind of effectively led to a bullseye on these vehicles for delivering alcohol. There's a liability issue there, and this bill changes it to allow for that license to be held either electronically or paper inside of the vehicle to allow for the safety of those drivers. The second part, which is a little bit more all-encompassing, a little bit more impactful, it does also look at a quota system for alcohol retail licenses in districts that are 100,000 people or more. With the exception of Louisville. So this only includes 5 counties currently in Kentucky. It takes the quota license from 1 license per 2,300 people down to 1 license per 2,000 people. So as you can tell, that's not a huge change. It's not a huge shift, and it's not an automatic introduction of those additional licenses. There's still those localities still have the opportunity to either vote to approve or disapprove those. I know currently in Lexington, this is definitely impactful in Lexington, as I think there's 2 vacant licenses. And we have several major retail organizations that are trying to come in, and they will not break ground until there's a little bit more movement in that particular area. And I think this is a temporary shift. Some of you were like, if that number's so small, why are you doing this? Why this isn't going to be terribly impactful? Well, for 2 reasons. First, this is a Band-Aid. I think that we all are understanding that we need to take a look at that during the interim. Chairman, we addressed the issue of what licensing looked like in Kentucky dealing with alcohol and how it almost seems like it's misshaped or misplaced. But the other thing too is that, one of the things I think it's important is that we do have varying viewpoints on alcohol in the Commonwealth. We didn't want to make it look like it was going to be a free-for-all. We wanted to be conservative with our approach there, and I feel like this does it. And I'll yield back to the gentleman.
We're ready for questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I want to thank you for working within the protocols of this committee with the committee sub, and I know there's give and take and all discussions, and we're less now than a year away to the new interim, and when the kind of everything starts again, the cycle starts again, and we start working on the following year. But I appreciate all the work that's gone into this from all parties. Do we have any questions? I think there's someone signed up to speak. Is there a Dana here? Okay, Dana, it looks to me like you're opposed. Would you please come up and address the committee? You can stay right there, Mr. Chairman. It's just she's by herself. And oh, okay. I'm sorry. You can both stay there. Yeah, go ahead. We're all be one big happy family here. Since moving back and forth. I think I didn't speak to you, but maybe I think I did speak to you.
For a second, yeah.
Yeah. But welcome to the committee, and you have 5 minutes for your presentation.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I know it takes a lot of time and dedication for you all to serve Kentucky on this level, and it is much appreciated. I want to acknowledge all the thought and time that these gentlemen and all the staff have put into building House Bill 439. I know it was done with every intention of bringing new business to our communities. And I do want to touch on today some of the unintended consequences that will exist for small businesses in our communities. My business started with Blush and Glow LLC. We're a bridal hair and makeup studio. In 2020, we were absolutely crippled by COVID. Our business hinged upon the physical touch of our clients, and we were completely unable to work during that time. And so we had to pivot in a substantial way. The Blushery, a boutique and wine bar, was born out of that pivot. And with the ABC's encouragement to do so, we decided it was important to apply for all licenses that we were legally eligible for. That aligned with our business model, and in having doing that, we have been allowed a great growth in this industry that we were very new to. I have had the opportunity to speak with many of you in regard to some of these unintended consequences, but in other conversations, they were not as solution-based, and I was told that the Blushery and businesses like mine are not deserving of these kinds of licenses. And what I want to show today is that it's not a matter that is subjective as to who is deserving, but more a matter of who is legally eligible to hold these licenses. The main element that you heard Representative Killian Timoney mention was that this threshold drops from 2,300 to 2,000. That's 20 more licenses that would potentially be infused into Lexington's market in 2024, and that's a 15% increase on licenses that would currently exist. The second part of that has not been mentioned is that it now allows a city, county, or urban county government to petition the board for additional licenses at a residential threshold of 1,500, which would potentially allow 55 additional licenses. And since Lexington has not been eligible to make this petition in the past, this year would be the first year, in my understanding, that these would be able to work in tandem with each other should the city of Lexington choose to do so. The emergency declaration on the bill would also allow for these things to become in effect legally once the bill is passed. This creates or exacerbates three unintended consequences. The first is that it furthers an already huge competitive advantage held by grocery and national stores that have price and product accessibility not available to your small business owners. The second is that while HB 439 does eliminate the quota retail package system, does not eliminate the quota retail system for the state, it comes very close in Fayette County specifically. Initially flooding the market with 20 new licenses with the potential for 55 more in 2024 alone degrades the value of quota retail package licenses that current holders see as an asset to their business. Whether these hold value to you as an owner monetarily or simply by being a part of an elite tier of retailers able to sell these products, they are an asset that we rely on to generate revenue. The third consequence is that current data from the Kentucky State General Fund Revenue Report produced monthly by the governor's office does not support a revenue growth anywhere near the scale that this influx of licenses would exhibit. When these two census changes are used in tandem, it could allow a total of 75 new licenses, which is a 54% increase in Lexington alone. In reviewing the average percent change from fiscal years 2019 to 2024, 2023 was down 0.3%. 2024 is currently trending at only a 0.08 growth. You would be forcing current retailers to give their business revenue to a new storefront instead of allowing them to maintain or grow their business that already exists in Lexington. It will most likely be a business that will have an ability to undercut price substantially because they have a bulk and mass ordering capacity that your small retailers do not have access to. The current laws actually do not include grocery stores as eligible businesses to hold these licenses, yet national grocery brands like Kroger and Publix have gotten around these laws by building separate storefronts to house alcohol. KARS 2423 notes that no quota retail package license shall be issued for any premise used or as in connection with the operation of any business which a substantial part of the commercial transaction consists of selling at retail staple groceries or gasoline and lubricating oil. Kroger does all of these things. After skirting around the law to acquire about 40% of the quota retail licenses currently used in Fayette County, why would we allow even more ease to move over another law, the census growth requirements that currently exist, versus having these laws be followed that were set forth by this governing body as originally created. Despite paying the same price for the same licenses, your small business certainly do not have access to the same products or pricing. Your small and local retailers cannot overcome a 54% or even 15% of their revenue being redistributed to other client markets, while also trying to overcome a competitive advantage in price and product accessibility held by grocery stores and other national brands that are not even legally eligible to hold these licenses. There are solutions that allow every party to have a little of what they want versus only one party getting everything they want at the expense of others. Representative Palumbo's House Floor Amendment did allow this to be the case, as it set a cap on how many licenses could be released at a given time. This cap was 5% and is in line with the cap that is set on how much a license fee may increase within a 5-year period, which is also 5%. In further review of the data provided from the Kentucky State General Fund Revenue Report.
Ma'am,
Yes,
if you
sir.
could kind of work towards your conclusion, you are over time.
I'm sorry, I will finish. In reviewing that data, it is very close to that average percent change for the last 5 years, which reflects a growth rate of only 3.4%, most of which was escalated during 2020 and 2021 during COVID, where drinking increased significantly nationwide. The 5% cap allows for growth that is within reason for what would be an industry standard in Kentucky. I hope that our discussion today allows for more thoughtful deliberations regarding this and will lead to provisions being made to eliminate risks that small business owners like myself will surely experience firsthand. Thank you all so much for your time and consideration. I realize I'm over time. If there's any questions I can answer or any clarity I can provide, I would love to be able to do that for you now. Thank you all so much.
Thank you for your testimony. I know you had a lot of important information there, so we're glad to give you the extra time.
Thank you.
Are there any questions? Are there any questions? At this time, I'll entertain a motion. Senator Thayer made a motion. Is there a second? Let the record reflect. There's been a motion made and duly seconded. Any further discussion on this matter? I assume that no one else wants to speak. That was the only one on the list, so if that's the case, I'll ask the Madam Secretary to call the roll.
Senator Adams, Senator Douglas,
Aye.
Senator Harper Angel, Senator Higdon, Senator Howell, Senator Mays Bledsoe.
May I explain my vote, please?
Vote and explain.
I thank you, Mr. Chairman. I vote aye, but I wanted to say, one, I'm a huge fan of the blushery.
Thank you.
Ms. Petticord does a phenomenal job in Lexington, and I would encourage the women in the room to go visit. That being said, she brings up some good points, and I know she and I have talked quite a bit about some of the consequences in Lexington. We don't want a liquor store in every corner. We certainly don't want them in certain areas, and there is a challenge between the demand and how we protect small businesses and bring them into the market, if you will. And so I know we've talked to the leaders in Lexington about that issue and that challenge, and I think we're going to work towards making sure we are thoughtful and intentional about how we move forward, and I appreciate your support and your efforts. Thank you, Chair.
Senator McDaniel, Senator Nemus,
Aye.
Senator Thayer,
I'd like to explain my vote, Mr. Chairman.
Vote and explain.
Thanks. I vote aye, and I want to go on the record as saying the main reason we are here today dealing with this Vintage Spirits Act is I believe it's because of overly aggressive enforcement by the Alcohol and Beverage Commission with selective and uneven enforcement, where I believe some stores have been improperly selected while others doing the same business have been left alone. I hope this clarifies things and we won't have this sort of overly aggressive punishment of legal businesses in Kentucky. I vote aye.
Senator Thomas,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to explain my aye vote, please.
Vote and explain.
I vote aye, and I want to begin by saying that I am very supportive of small business. You, Mr. Chairman, know better than anyone else this session, my commitment to making sure that small businesses get treated fairly, that there's a level playing field there, and that we protect and treat small businesses in the same manner as we treat any small business. In addition, Mr. Chairman, the reason that I'm late today is because my practice deals with small business. I'm a small business attorney, and trying to balance my legal duties with my political duties sometimes makes me late for meetings like this. So I'm committed to small business. But with all that being said, the bottom line has to be here that all businesses, should be viewed from the lens that, we are a nation that believes in free enterprise and free marketplace. And while that may sound surprising to some, that's the way I feel. I believe in the American system of capitalism, and that everybody who wants to go into business deserves a shot at doing so. And I just can't see, why we want to limit that. And I say that from the lens, I'm like Senator Mace Bledsoe. I live in Lexington, and I've spoken with the proprietor of Blushery, and the Blushery is in my district. So I'm talking to someone who actually votes for me. But I can't go along with the arguments made here with regard to why we should not approve this statute. I do believe that we should approve this statute. And for all of those reasons, Mr. Chair, is why I vote aye.
Chairman Schickel.
I vote aye. House Bill 439, as amended by committee substitute, is passed with favorable expression. Congratulations. And I want to add, too, that the interim, what we have here is conflicting interests, and the interim is just now months away. So let's all get engaged early if we want to make changes and work through these things. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senators. Appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda will be House Bill 56. This has been an item which we heard during the interim.
Yes.
An act relating to licensed professionals. Introduce yourself for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Ken Fleming. I represent the 8th District, which covers part of Jefferson and Oldham County.
Lisa Wilner, House District 35 in Jefferson County.
Mr. Chairman, as you stated earlier, that we had a discussion in the summer in regards to compacts as well as licensings of psychologists. And this is a compact we have looked at on several occasions, and it's a culmination of several states that banded together to help out provide services in their respective states. So, as you might know, the license in one state through this compact can be practiced in another state in order to provide services and so forth. And we're dealing with a significant amount of workforce issues, particularly when it comes to mental health side. And so I would appreciate y'all's consideration and support on this. There's quite a few individuals as well as groups that are supporting this. And I think even the general is in West Kentucky. Is that right? I think so. Is really supportive of having this initiative to help out their clientele and their clients and military folks. So that's the first part of this bill. The second part deals with psychology, and I'll let Representative Wilner do that.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the committee. I want to thank General Bullard for his letter of support for this bill. That means a lot to both of us. So the psychology portion of the bill, Kentucky has long been one of the very few states that licenses master's level psychologists to practice independently. This simply reduces their 5-year requirement to practice under supervision down to 2 years. It puts psychology more in line with other licensed professionals at the master's level. That's it.
Thank you for your concise testimony. Do we have any questions? We have a motion by Senator McDaniel. Who made the second? Do we have a second? By Senator Howe. Let the record reflect it's been duly, the motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? I just have one comment. I feel like I've kind of been beat down over the years by these compacts. This does have the famous David Gibbons language in it to protect our state sovereignty. I just want to remind the members that we are individual sovereign states. But is there anyone else that wants to pontificate? Madam Secretary, call the roll.
Senator Adams. Senator Douglas.
I want to pass, Mr. Chair.
Senator Harper Angel. Senator Higdon. Senator Howe. Senator Mays Bledsoe. Senator McDaniel. Senator Nemus.
Aye.
Senator Thayer. Senator Thomas. Chairman Schickel.
Aye. House Bill 50, hold on a minute, I think Senator Thayer may have done. House Bill 56 passed the committee with favorable expression. Congratulations. Nice to have you here. And lastly, from Northern Kentucky, House State Representative Mike Klein with House Bill 361, and thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Good morning. I'm Representative Mike Kleins, House District 68.
Jason Howe. You know me.
Andrew Rutherford, Critical Care PA and Chair of Kentucky Academy of PA's Government Affairs Committee.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Introduce yourself for the record and proceed with your testimony.
It's good to be back, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 361 is a testament to the process. Representatives of the Kentucky Academy of Physicians Assistants and representatives of the Kentucky Medical Association collaborated on adjusting 3 statutes of the KBML, the Kentucky Board of Medical Licensure.
I hate to interrupt you, but before we get too far down the road, we do have a sub which probably needs to be adopted. Do I hear a motion?
Motion on sub.
Motion has been made and seconded to adopt the sub. All those in favor use the voting sign of aye. Those opposed, like sign. Let the record reflect the sub has been adopted, and you may want to also go over the differences.
Okay. So as far as the differences, the first run through the House was some changes for the physician's assistants, and through the Senate, the KBML wanted to make a few adjustments. So the approach we added some language in Section 1 to afford the KBML with additional flexibility on their physician appointees. And then in Section 5, the KBML asked that continuing education requirements related to pediatric abusive head trauma apply to physicians as well as PAs. As far as the House bill itself, as it went through the House, it makes a series of important updates to physicians' assistants practice statutes that will better align Kentucky with the tenets of a healthcare team to make certain that physician assistants are empowered within their profession and to ensure that the next generation of physician assistants choose to live and work in Kentucky. By adding 1 physician assistant as a non-voting member of the Kentucky Board of Medical Licensure, more than 1,700 physician assistants who practice medicine in Kentucky will be represented on their licensure board and provide insight regarding physician assistant practice. There were 4 other updates to the statutes that were collaborated on between the KAPA and the KBML. Per a recent Harris poll by the American Academy of Physician Assistants, 74% of Kentuckians worry about healthcare workforce shortages affecting their families. But currently, approximately 50% of physician assistant students leave the state of Kentucky for their first job. So House Bill 361 is a step in the right direction to improving and modernizing the physician assistant's practice and licensure in Kentucky with the intention of empowering and retaining more physician assistants to provide quality care to Kentuckians across the state. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Let's first get a motion. We got a motion. The sub's adopted. We have Senator Thayer has made the motion. Let the record reflect Senator Mays Bledsoe seconded. So we do have a bill before us which has been Motioned and seconded and adopted the committee sub. Any discussion or questions of the bill sponsor? Senator Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill doesn't address expansion of privileges, does it?
No, sir. There is no expansion of privileges within this bill. It's all within our licensure and regulatory part of our licensure.
May I ask one more question, Mr. Chair?
You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is that intent? Is that an intent down the road?
There is no intent down the road, sir. One of the things, I've been with this committee for 8 years, at least I know before, PAs have always been a group that has touted physician-led healthcare teams. We think a healthcare team truly makes better patient outcomes, and we're looking forward to working with our colleagues with KMA, KBML, on improving regulations to improve Kentucky. But there is no intent to try to move away or do any of that nature, and I'm happy to go on record of saying there is no intent to doing that, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone here wish to speak against this bill, which is in the audience and not signed up? Madam Secretary, call the roll.
Senator Adams. Senator Douglas.
Aye.
Senator Harper Angel. Senator Higdon. Senator Howe. Senator Mays Bledsoe. Senator McDaniel. Senator Nemus.
Aye.
Senator Thayer. Senator Thomas. Chairman Schickel.
Aye. House Bill 50. Okay, we need a title amendment first of all. I'll entertain a motion to accept the title amendment. There's a motion. Is there a second? Motion's been made and seconded to adopt the title amendment. All those in favor use the voting sign of aye. Anyone opposed say no. Let the record reflect the title amendment is adopted. House Bill, yes. Okay, hold on, just, okay, yeah, I'll take a motion for consent. All those in favor of the motion, or is there a second? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. The bill is on consent. House Bill 361, committee substitute, is passed with favorable expression. Congratulations. Is there anything else to come before the committee before we adjourn? Without objection, we stand adjourned.